Tensions in the country called Kenya are rising to fever pitch. According to a host of Jubilee leaders, Kenyans have moved on. Kenyans do not want election maneno anymore. They want to get back to work and to get back to their businesses. And really the long and short of what they're saying is that NASA is a nuisance. They are very interested in forming an Usumkate government. Now, in my view, these tired, repetitive statements coming from Jubilee are part of the problem. Why? Because they're escalating tensions. Okay? They're not cooling off temperatures. They're actually inciting and raising the temperatures. Why? Because every Kenyan in their right mind, right across the political divide, knows that what we had in 2017 as far as presidential elections are concerned was a failed election. That is a fact. I'm sure I do not need to repeat the chain of events, but we all know that the August 8th elections was nullified by the Supreme Court. And the 26th of October so-called elections, legal and according to the Constitution, those were not elections, surely. And one does not need to be a NASA sympathizer to see that. Anyway, it is possible that Jubilee leaders are talking about a different country. But I can confirm and I can tell you categorically today that the country they are talking about is not Kenya. And all this is happening in a situation whereby the AG has now moved to court to block the People's Assembly. In other words, the AG wants to make the People's Assemblies null and void, illegal. Now, isn't that contradicting what Jubilee leaders are saying? Because Jubilee leaders are saying people have moved on. So who are these people who have voted in a People's Assembly? Which are these people? Who are these MCAs? Who do they represent? That have sat down in their respective chambers and voted unanimously for the People's Assembly. Maybe they're foreigners, not Kenyans. Now, if anybody was looking for an example of an irresponsible government, then it will be very difficult to get a better example than the current Jubilee government. Why do I say that? Oh, glad you asked, because I'll tell you. There are only two possible options a responsible government would take. Arrest the whole lot of NASA people, the whole lot that's causing nuisance, arrest the whole lot, okay? And if it is true they have committed illegalities, if it is true that they are a nuisance to the rule of law and order in Kenya, arrest the whole lot. Do something. Either that or sit down and dialogue with them. There's really no third option. None. But the actions and behavior of the Jubilee government is taking the country into a very bad place. So, can you call such a government a responsible government? A government that stands aside and knows, that is just there, and watches as things in the country tip over, right before their eyes. Well, I'm sure they have a plan, but one thing is for sure, the plan they have is to keep the current government in power at all costs, okay? And the people who will pay the bills are the people of Kenya. The ordinary people of Kenya. Those are the people who will pay the biggest price, in the Jubilee plan to remain in power at all costs. Now, I've done a recording, actually, which I did last week. Highly sensitive stuff, but it is the blueprint of Jubilee. It is actually the plan they have, okay, to remain in power. The plan they have to neutralize NASA, okay? There is a very high possibility that this plan will work, okay? However, the issue is not this plan working or not working. The issue is the consequences. Now you can get hold of that recording by becoming a member of Club 1999. Use the email address you see on your screens right now, and you'll get an automated response on what you need to do to become a member of Club 1999. 6 months membership is $1,999 or $19.99. Anyway, this plan is of course hatched using some very powerful forces, some very powerful people, okay? And as I say in that special report, it's all very dirty politics, okay? It is all, why do I say dirty politics? Dirty politics because you know what so and so wants, and you take advantage of that, yes, completely ignoring the ordinary folks, the ordinary Kenyans. Completely ignoring the safety and well-being of ordinary Kenyans, including people who voted for you. That's really what it is. Now, in an earlier recording, I gave you a very clear picture of what the NASA position is on negotiations, okay? And now it seems that our media have taken this up, and the reports that they're producing are confusing. Because the picture we get, or the picture anybody who does not know what is happening gets, is that NASA are calling for negotiations, otherwise they will swear in Raila and Kalonzo. The truth is, that is the position of Kalonzo Musyoka, and a number of moderates within the NASA coalition. Now, in my view, the ones who are moderates in NASA, are wazes, they're wise people, they know the consequences of chaos in Kenya, okay? Most of these people have seen what has happened in the past during the ill-fated August 1st attempted coup in 1982. Most of these people saw what happened in 2007, 2008, and they just, it's a nightmare to them to think that Kenya would slip into anything near what happened on those two particular dates I've mentioned. In my view, these people are wise, because they know one truism, and the truism is that negotiations are a must. And they're trying very hard to make sure that those negotiations happen kabla mambo ijaharibika, okay? Very sadly, and as I said in the earlier recording, that train has long left the station, okay? In fact, that train is almost arriving at its next destination. It's too late. Sadly, unfortunately, it's too late. Now, the true position of NASA, and when I say NASA, I mean the vast majority of its supporters. I mean the vast majority of its members. And I also mean the NASA strategists. And so in that context, the true NASA position is that negotiations will only take place after the 30th. And according to the NASA CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Norman Magaya, those negotiations will take place between the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Jubilee President. Now, that is a very radical, hot-blooded statement, but I have to confess it's difficult to fault, because the elections of the 26th of October, who went to the polls? Jubilee supporters. NASA supporters didn't go to the polls. So it's true, the president we have, it's difficult for him to shake off the tag that is a Jubilee president. That is a fact. It is also a fact that Raila Odinga is not the president of the Republic of Kenya. He is not. But what Bwana Magaya is trying to tell us, not trying, what he's telling us very clearly, is that after the 30th of January, Raila will be president of Kenya. Okay? Now I leave you to form your own interpretation of what the guy meant. Okay? Well, he was very elaborate. He said they have plans, and immediately after the swearing in, those plans will kick in, which will make Raila the president of the Republic of Kenya. I cannot pretend to know exactly what NASA plans are that will make this a reality. I may have a few ideas, guesswork mostly, but I think it's very late in the day for any guesswork. Okay? So let's just wait and see what happens. After all, it's only 6 days to go. And the days are passing very quickly, and we'll be able to fully find out. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.